Most photographers think they need more lenses to take better photos. Now, I think that's a big mistake. You see, after years of shooting landscape, travel, and everyday life, I've learned one simple thing. The best lens is the one that you actually bring with you. And this one right here, it surprised me big time. So, my friend, let's talk about what's changed with this new all-in-one zoom lens. And even though it's not perfect, I still think it's an absolute beast. All right, my friend, so let's start by first defining what this lens is actually trying to do. And I have like both versions here, so let's take this one first because this is the lens that we're talking about. Now, this is the newish, it's a few months old right now, 25 to 200 millimeter Tamron G2, and it's a full frame lens for Sony E-mount, and it's kind of an all-in-one lens. You'll know what I'm talking about in a second. You see, this little beast right here is built for people who want one versatile lens that's lightweight, compact, and covers a lot of different scenarios. For example, wide landscapes, streets, portraits, details, and those beautiful compressed telephoto shots without swapping lenses. And of course, I mean shots and not shops. Anyway, this new 25mm part on this lens, it matters way more than it sounds. You see, that extra width is the difference between, okay, this is kind of fine, to this actually feels wide enough for travels, interiors, and my favorite, of course, epic landscapes. I don't know why I had to change my voice there, but I did. Now, the thing is, I've used the living shit out of the previous version, the Tamron 28 to 200mm a lot. And while I absolutely loved this lens, then one thing that always bothered me, there are a few things actually, but one thing that really bothered me, kind of, is the 28mm, because it is kind of wide, but it's also not wide enough to be truly usable for wide angle. It's in this little middle part, kind of awkward. Basically, it's wide, but not wide enough to truly feel wide. A lot of wide there, that's what she... Anyway, the point that I'm trying to drive home here is that going from 28 to 25mm might sound small on paper, but in real world shooting, it actually matters, and you will feel it. You see, on paper, here is what you're getting with this lens. A 25 to 200mm f2.8 to 5.6. It's about 575 grams, if I remember correctly, and the thread here, the filter thread, is 67mm. On top of that, it also has a surprisingly close focus distance. I think it can focus, if I remember correctly, at the wide end, down to like 0.16 meters. Now, the simple promise Tamron is making is this. If a lens makes you carry your camera more often, you will take more photos. And more photos usually means more keepers, because you're actually out there with your camera. I'm trying to find the camera here to hold to drive home the point, but you're actually out in nature with your camera taking photos. However, I'm not getting paid by Tamron for this video or anything like that, so we will of course have to question that promise. Is it true? Well, we will have to find out. But with that being said, then let us now, me and you, my friend, talk about what Tamron has actually changed in this G2 version compared to the old G1 version. By the way, I made a free 33-day email series, one short tip a day to help you become a better photo editor. It is totally free, and as always, you can find it in the description down below. Part number 2, what is genuinely new compared to the old version? Now, here is the problem, at least in my opinion, with these version 2 lenses, or G2 lenses in this case. Sometimes it's just a refresh, new label, pretty much the same experience. The companies are just trying to get a little bit more money, you know. But when it comes to this lens, then is it just a refresh, or what has actually changed from the G2 version? So first and foremost, you're getting a VXD autofocus. That is Tamron's linear motor system. The point with that upgrade isn't your like landscape suddenly focuses faster. The point is better tracking, better consistency, and a more confident feel when you're shooting people, pets, moving cars, or anything else that moves fast. Your crazy kids, if you have a few of them like me. Second, what you're getting now is that you also get a USB-C on the lens. This is good for firmware updates and Tamron's lens utility. Third little upgrade is that now you also get a custom button on the side right here. I know this is not a super sexy upgrade, but once you map it to something that you actually use, it becomes one of those features that you really miss when it's gone. On top of all this, Tamron is also positioning this as a more refined build and coating package in the G2 line. Not bad. And in my experience, the corner performance and overall just image quality are just a bit better than in this good old previous version. It is still a lens that I like a lot. Now, however, we just need to answer the real question, the most important question of them all. Does it actually look better in the photos? Part number 3, image quality. The honest version. Not sure why I whispered there, but it felt cool. Honest. All right, so enough of the nonsense. Let's keep this simple. With super zooms in general, the center of the frame when you're taking photos is usually pretty fine. The corners and fringes, or fringing, is that how you say it? That's usually where you are paying for convenience. Now, from my tests and from using this lens now daily for the last few weeks, the 25 to 200mm G2 looks like Tamron did what they intended and needed to do. It is generally a little bit cleaner than the previous version, especially in the areas where the first lens was the weakest. And that's roughly, or that is the 28 to 35mm range. And it also seems to be a bit stronger at the long end as well. That being said though, the 25 to 35mm range on this new version, it still isn't perfect. You can still see softer corners, vignetting, and some fringing in high contrast scenes. Especially, of course, when you have tree branches against a bright sky. But I have to give Tamron that it is improved. And to be fair, if you shoot forests against white clouds, you can pretty much push any lens into fringing. I dare you to challenge me on that. The point I'm trying to make here is basically this. If you're posting online, you're making normal prints, or you care more about the moment than pixel peeping, extreme corners, then this lens is actually in the it's good enough that it stops mattering type of category. Now, I do want to quickly point out and double tap on the fact that this lens, for what it is, a 25 to 200mm in one lens, it is tiny, lightweight and compact. Just look at this. I'm holding this in my hand just like this, no problem at all. And that is the main reason why I got this. I'm a landscape photographer, always on the go, and this is just so nice how small it is. And because of that, I'm willing to look past the defections. I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but the quality, it's good enough. At least I've been posting pictures all of the time using it, showing people around, and nobody's been like, bro, that quality, it sucks a little bit. None of that, You don't even notice when I post it side by side on the big screen. I think the big difference is when you're going to blow it out on big prints or whatnot, And honestly, without a doubt, the most important question when choosing a lens to ask yourself is, what are you actually going to use it for? I mean, do you need wide open apertures and razor sharp glass at the cost of course, size, weight, and then, of course, convenience? Or is lightweight and compact more important to your style of shooting than absolute perfect optical perfection, Now, the thing is, for me, as a landscape photographer, I don't really need wide open apertures. And because I'm often hiking, moving around, then packing fewer, lighter, and more compact lenses matters way more to me. Now, with that being said, then let us move on to the stuff that will make you love or hate this lens. But before we get into that part, then I just want to quickly thank today's sponsor, Artlist, because they genuinely make these weekly videos possible. Now, the thing is, I've been getting all of my music, sound effects, templates, plugins, and stock footage from Artlist for years now. That part hasn't changed. What has changed is that Artlist has now expanded beyond just these assets and into what they're calling Artlist AI Toolkit. The key thing here is that it's not just AI tools added on top. It pulls AI image, video, and voiceover tools into one organized workspace, so you're not jumping between platforms or breaking your creative flow. This is honestly super cool, so let me quickly show you what I mean. You see, inside the AI Toolkit, you can flip between projects, flip through different AI models depending on the look that you're looking for and want, and iterate on ideas in real time, all without leaving Artlist or the same page really. And personally, I've been using it a lot for my thumbnails and some other visual elements. If, for example, I need a graphic button, a diagram, the complete background swap, or turn a static image into a moving video, I can just describe what I want and boom, I'm done in seconds, so fast. I mean, look, this is often stuff that used to take me a long time to do in Photoshop. I can now do much faster and honestly often better because these tools are built specifically for creators. And that, my friend, is the important part. These tools don't replace creativity, they basically just remove the friction, which basically means I'm spending less time with headache fighting a software and more time creating better videos for you. Now, this AI toolkit is clearly the foundation of what Artlist is building going into 2026, while still giving you all of the music, sound effects, stocks, and the other tools that you've always used all in one place. If you want to try it out and start creating like zero limits, then there's a link in the description that will give you 2 months extra off your yearly plan, and it also supports the channel. So massive thanks for that. All right, now let's get into the trade-offs of this lens and why some people will hate it. Part number 4, and this part of the video has one job, and that job is to save you from buying the wrong tool. So what is the trade-off then of buying a pretty cheap lens that does everything? Well, there are a few. To start with, the number one trade-off is, of course, stabilization. There is no optical stabilization in this lens, which means that you're relying on stabilization from your Sony camera. Basically what it means that if you're shooting handheld on modern bodies, it's usually fine. But if you want to do long exposures on a tripod, then here is the issue. You see, this lens, it extends quite a lot. And that means that it puts a big tube out on the front, far away from the center of gravity. And wind, it can shake it. And then if you add a filter or even a hood, it gets worse. Now, trade-off number 2 is, of course, low light performance. As we know, it starts at f2.8 and 25mm, which is pretty great actually, but it's a variable aperture lens and it gets darker as you zoom. So if your priority is clean indoor photos at longer focal lengths, you will be pushing the ISO faster than you want. But as I mentioned before, as a landscape photographer, it doesn't really matter that much, at least for me. Now, trade-off number 3 is the, I'm gonna say the look. The autofocus background, the bokeh, it's fine. I mean, it's definitely acceptable, but it's not that creamy portrait lens level of beautiful bokeh that we just drool over, you know. However, to be fair to Tamron, it's not trying to be that either, but I wanted to point it out. So that is basically the reality. If those trade-offs sound acceptable, then this lens is insanely useful. And in a second, I will tell you who this lens is actually made for. But first, you might be sitting there wondering to yourself, but Mr. Icelandic guy, how does this lens perform in extreme cold condition? Well, I'm happy that you asked. You see, I live in northern Sweden. And here it can get really cold. Matter of fact, the other day we had minus 29 degrees Celsius. That is, for you, my American friends watching, minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I got you. Even if you're trying to steal Greenland away from us, you pricks, I'm still helping you out. So how did it then perform? Well, pretty damn good, no problems. I was out in like 2 hours, my beard was well frozen, fingers were pretty frozen, but the lens was still taking a bunch of photos and doing its job. Good job there. Now, part number 5. Who is this lens then for and who should skip it? Now, in my humble Icelandic opinion, then there are kind of 3 people that will absolutely love this lens. First, of course, you got the travel and hiking photographer. 1 lens, 1 filter size, light setup, huge range, and 25mm is legitimately wide enough for most travel scenarios. And to be fair, I'm not always sure what travel means in photography, but let's say also a landscape photographer. I'm talking about myself here. Second, the everyday life photographer. I'm talking family, street, day trips, and just these random moments that pops up. This lens, it does reduce friction. You shoot more because you're not thinking about gear or thinking about, okay, I need this lens for this scenario. You just have it on and you just have fun with it. Third is the, what I'm gonna call the one lens creator. If you shoot photos and videos casually and you want one lens that covers wide establishing shots and then also tight details without swapping, then this lens, it fills that, or it does help you with that. However, knowing this is not enough in this day and age. You see, most beginner photographers get the camera part wrong after choosing a lens like this. So my friend, watch this video next where I break down the best budget camera I'd actually buy today if I were starting out.